And this is where the intro should play, but not yet. We are not there yet, and we can just do the intro ourselves because it's another umbraCoffee episode number 148, and we are joined today by two amazing Umbracians, Chriztian and Jan. Hi guys, how are you?
Hello. Very good, thank you.
Good, thank you. How about you?
This seems to be a tradition because you are every year, and without fail, we've had you on every year for 3 years. Always at about the same time, and there's some kind of reason I can't put my finger on it. Do you know? It's always sort of October, November time.
It might have something to do with a little project called 24 Days in Umbraco.
Oh,
I'm guessing.
We will speak about it today, but we can start from something different. It's another community activity and something what is informally announced from time to time, and it's called Umbra Teas Day. And we are today wearing some Umbra Teas Days. Chriztian, you have a high five. I have a rare one. Callum, you will like it. You like it.
That's a very rare t-shirt. Well done, Marcin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collection. And Chriztian, you've got Umbraco headphones on as well.
I do.
Ooh, branded from toes to the head. But people are sharing. The whole idea is simple. If maybe someone don't know what it is all about. So from time to time. Some community members are announcing that maybe if this Friday should be the Umbra Teas Day, and the idea is to wear an Umbraco T-shirt and share a picture of it somewhere in the web. Usually it's on Twitter, but we've seen an Instagram post, we've seen some Facebook posts tagged with this Umbra Teas hashtag. And today, again, it's the day. Most of people are working remotely, so it's easier to find the T-shirt in the closet or somewhere nearby, and just share the picture of the collection or of the single particular T-shirt with the Umbraco community. But Callum, you've observed a new trend today.
Yeah, and I think Warren did a little video about it. Umbra Sock Day, Umbraco Sock. It doesn't really. It's not patchy, is it? Umbraco Socks sounds like Umbraco Sucks. But Umbraco Sock Day, and Warren is sporting the official Umbraco socks at the moment.
Yeah,
and these are quite rare. I don't know if many people have them. I've got a couple pairs, but I don't think anyone else has.
No, They were spread across the recent conferences that you've been in Netherlands, so you've probably got it there. So yeah, it's still rare. If you have it, share it. And I like the video format from Warren. That it's exactly something new what we can also introduce into sharing the journeys. A really cool initiative, and a lot of companies are doing it as well recently. So yeah, that's it. umbraCoffee and Umbra Teas Day today, but also we can summarize some of the activities from the last week, and maybe Callum, you can tell us more because you've been probably more involved in the.
Well, I think Jan was maybe more involved than I was because Jan actually did submit some decent work anyway. But yeah, we had the CanCon Umbracathon last weekend, didn't we? Friday and Saturday. And fun and games. There was a quiz of what was the quiz? Which is a real repo? Like some names of random things that could sound like a Git repo and maybe were or weren't. That was good. But yeah,
what was your contribution then? What did you do?
I worked on a pull request with Dean Lee, helping him do his first pull request. I worked on a change that I wanted to make to the core to make Models Builder a little bit more pluggable, and it turned out to be far more complicated than I thought. So I need to finish it at some point. And I have another pull request that I also need to finish at some point. So, yeah, you know the feeling. What did you do? What did you get up to?
I've been working on extending the focus lock overlay to include the Infinite editor as well. But yeah, there's a minor issue that I wanted to see if I could iron out, but I had a chat with Sebastian and he was happy with what he saw. So now it's awaiting a review by Niels Lyngsø from Umbraco HQ, and hopefully we will soon have it in the core because it really improves the tapping experience. So you can't tap out of the context that you're actually in, but it's been a bit of a challenge to keep track of the different overlays and when they're not in view and all that stuff. And it's not exactly easy to figure out when the DOM is being ready for being queried. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but I think we're in a good place.
Even more complex thing with something like Angular, where you've got model binding in there, and everything's very dynamic. So, unlike standard DOM events where you can actually just check to see if it's there or if it's loaded, it's not so easy.
Exactly. So I've been pulling a lot of hair off, and it's a project that's been ongoing since the release of before the release of Umbraco 8. I thought like 3 weeks before the release that, hey, we should try to fix this. And then I initially submitted a pull request, and then at the first CamCon hackathon, I actually ditched it because I realized the approach was wrong. But now we're actually moving somewhere. So
am I right? Is the directive in core already, but it's refining it and applying it?
Yeah, it's in there already, and it will work with overlays triggered by the overlay service. So whenever if you try to edit a document type and you move a piece of content and you try to move away without saving anything, you'll get this notification. Overlays like that, it works already, but with the Infinity editing, it's another story. Yeah,
fantastic. And of course, we mentioned this was not all hacking. There was a bit of fun. The Candid Contributions team did a great job of making sure that everyone was having a good time, including they had a guest book that you could sign, and that meant your face appeared on the page. 35 people in total signed that, which is great. They, of course, had their games that you could contribute recipes as well. Their recipe book. I think a few people submitted like a cake recipe or a bread recipe.
Yeah, I gave up because I wanted to submit a traditional Danish dish, which is directly translated. It's known as in Danish. It's Svensk pølseret, which translates to Swedish sausage dish. It's a Danish dish. I'm not sure why we all the Swedes in it.
Yeah, we have also Russian pierogies, so in Poland, so as a Polish traditional dish.
Yeah, I gave up submitting it because I needed to translate the different measures of stuff, and like, oh no, I'm too tired to do this. So, but hopefully,
it just proves that it's not that easy. It's not that easy, and it's. But Callum, there was also package workshops, and they were also converted into documentation part. And are going to be released in some other forms. I think
this is the first time the package team have ran workshops, and Kevin Jump and Jesper did one shift, and I think Nick and Richard Lockerbie did the other. They did 2 sessions, and I think 10 or 15 people in each, so potentially 20, 30 odd people that have been trained up on using Unpack and actually releasing a package to Hour. And that's,
exactly
historically been a huge barrier. And there's examples of people publishing their draft, my awesome new package on Hour, and getting that all working is fantastic, as well as a few first like real packages being released into the wild for people's use as well, which is cool. But yeah, it's all documentation now. So it's nice to see that whilst this workshop format was maybe slightly closed, 10 odd people a time, you can go and get all of that knowledge later. And I think they're going to they said they're going to do some alternative formats too, maybe a video, I guess, at some point.
Yeah. And probably we can all use it for hacking something during the last bits of October. And not only, of course, because if it will be well documented, or we can always refer to that, we can contribute and share it, and by doing some things which will be useful for us all. And it relates pretty good to Hacktoberfest, because we've mentioned that it's still ongoing. There were some updates from community, and we also seen that
1 week left. You've got 1 week left.
Yes, 1 week.
It ends in a week. So if you want to, last minute push to get some swag or whatever.
And some companies like ProWorks are also announcing the internal initiatives of doing the Hacktoberfest days. And today is the day in their schedule. They're inviting everyone, right, to contribute.
Totally internal. I think the whole thing here is to get someone from people in the US community more involved, because whilst the usual suspects, Janae and Erica and the Script team. They join the hackathons. It's quite difficult to get the US community engaged. It's a big place, and I think a lot of people there also work on the corporate side rather than agencies and stuff. So yeah, they're trying to do events in the US. I'm going to turn up later. And hopefully it'll be good fun.
And guys, how's your contributions during the Hacktoberfest? Is 4 pull request mark already checked?
I did something very stupid this year. I have 0 pull requests ready for Hacktoberfest, but I did one early. One of my favorite Mac developers companies, Panic, has released a new text editor this year called Nova, and I'm using the GitHub desktop client for my Git stuff, and I wasn't able to select Nova as an external editor, and then I went and added an issue on the repo, thinking, someday they may do that, and I got one of those great replies where they say, "Hey Christian, we'd love you to submit a pull request for this if you want this," and then I was, "Hey, cool, that's a Hacktoberfest challenge for me then." And then I couldn't wait. I just had to try it, and they have everything ready for how to do it. So,
I mean, it's absolutely not all about getting a T-shirt or anything. You want the motivation to do it. Yeah. And it's great to hear. So you said you contributed to the GitHub desktop app
client. So
that's very different to the kind of stuff you usually build and work with, right?
Yeah, it's totally crazy. I do not know anything about native development for anything, but their docs were excellent in, you just need to go into this file and find this one. You find this, the app's ID somewhere in its content package, and it was pretty simple to get everything going. And so I did that, and now I'm just waiting to see my name on the changes list whenever that update comes out.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing to say you've actually been able to impact a piece of software that you use daily and learn new skills and contributed in a new way. What language was it?
Well, it's an Electron app. So
Electron.
and the only thing you do here is actually change a few. There was some. I think it was actually TypeScript files and some config JSON files. But then the whole build system and all that, I had to build it, and I get to see the continuous the building stuff fail, and I panic and say, "Oh, I'm doing that."
You broke the GitHub client.
No, I broke that build, but then being able to fix that pretty soon and test the build on a test version of the client was that's cool. It was cool.
Yeah, but so, it's always just something, and it's also just an effort of someone who needs something to make an effort to do it, and that's cool. Yeah. And what about you, Jan?
Yeah, I've completed the challenge. During the Dukefest virtual, I also made some pull requests in between. So it's completed. But I haven't gotten much done apart from the weekends, because being a dad, it's hard to find time in the evening.
I think there's obviously a happy equilibrium here of your like effort and if it's worth it, because I know that Jan, you do a lot of pull requests kind of all the time. Whenever you find something that's bugging you go and fix it, and you're one of the top contributors to the project. But that's absolutely not to say that you should be dedicating your month of October to doing nothing else. No. You have a life, and I think it's definitely important to keep that in mind.
But it's helping. It's definitely helping seeing other people motivating themselves. At least it works for me, because I was not even interested in jumping into past repositories which were awaiting some of the attention, and right now it's like everyone else is looking at it. Maybe I should do it as well, and the time is always possible to be found, and it's just a matter of priorities, and in October priorities a little bit switched thanks to the Hacktoberfest and the whole initiative. So maybe that's the case. And Callum, you also are doing a contributions. How's this week live stream on Twitch?
It was ambitious this week, a bit, maybe too ambitious. I've been doing these live streams each week to set myself the goal of, well, one, actually doing a contribution, but two, getting into a rhythm of doing them more regularly. And I live stream them on Twitch. And I keep, for me, I'm learning about the streaming tools at the same time as well. And I every week I come away with a bunch of notes like, okay, that needs fixing, that needs changing. Not just the code. This week I did a contribution to the vendor demo site to replace faceting implementation, which is something really complex that if you'd asked me 6 months ago, like, tell me all about faceting, I couldn't have told you. But I spent a long time learning a lot about it and was able to contribute a lot of that knowledge back and improve, refactor the search inside the vendor demo store. It's a draft PR right now. I need to fix things. I even found a few, that's frustrating or that's a bug in my own library. And I'm like, okay, now I can go and fix that in my own code as well. Implementing it in a maybe different scenario that I would usually do is highlighted some things that I would have built differently in my own API. So that's great.
Yeah. So if we're talking about giving back, maybe that's a good time to jump into a topic of the day, because we have you two here to talk about the great initiative you've formed. When it all started? What was the year?
2012.
Yeah.
2012, and we are talking about of course 24 days in Umbraco CMS now, and we have another edition. We've mentioned it last week that you've opened the form for submissions for the new authors, but maybe we can start from something different, and maybe you have some articles which you have on your list of favorites since this 2012 year. Which articles there will be? I can
start with one that is kind of exactly the format I was thinking of when we started this originally. Short trick or tip to do something just using what's available in Umbraco, and that's Matt Brailsford's Ajax paging using ELT templates, so alternate templates, and it's just simple. I know I used both just and simple in the same, but it's really using something you even though there's a warning at the top that says this is old content, you may want to check this out. If it's still
relevant,
it still holds up. If you know Umbraco, you know what the master template is, and you can do an MVC version instead. And you can do the JavaScript without jQuery if you're not using that anymore. And you can, the trick is pretty simple, but it's exactly what I was thinking of when you read this on the train to work, and you get to work and say, hey, maybe I should do this to my list today. So
it's a nice digestible. Small chunk of code, you're like, okay, I totally get how that's working. Clear explanation.
Thanks,
Matt. and a really great resource that you can come back to and reference easily.
Exactly.
I know that I think it's fair to point this out that last year there was a bit of moaning that some of the articles are more, people focused or life focused. And I think also some of them maybe are too technical and maybe too much to read and digest. There's definitely a nice balance, a middle ground there to be found. And I know that every year you work very hard to do that. But of course, authors write whatever they want to write. It's not, you're not policing what people write. But I'd love to see more of these short snippets of code, as well as the stuff that we've had in the past few years as well.
Yeah,
but Chriztian, on your list there is also a second article which is exactly non-technical.
Exactly, that's one of from the other end of the spectrum, where Emma Burstow published one that mistakes I've made in my first 2 years. It's nothing about Umbraco. It's not especially about Umbraco, but it's about learning something and making mistakes and knowing the mistakes. There's a great quote where she says, remarkably, writing down all the ways you suck is rather enjoyable, she says. But it's instead of just pounding yourself with, oh, I did this wrong and did this wrong. You're just owning up and saying, okay, this was a mistake. I should have done this in another way. But having done the mistake, you can talk about it, and everybody learns from this and say, okay, I'm not the only one doing this every single time. Or so that's another great example of what I like about this project.
So we were talking before going live here that psychology is getting more and more important in the devs' lives, and when we are talking and discussing it with the most or more advanced people, they always mention that they are looking for some maybe soft skills related resources, because the hardcore technical stuff can be learned and probably easier than those other things, and we can learn from articles like that and mistakes made by other people.
When soft skills anymore, it's core skills, and I think that's a fantastic way of thinking about it. It's not these are things that I kind of
nice to have
people again. They're essential skills. They're essential things that impact not only developers' lives but everyone's lives. And I think talking about them in a nice, open, friendly forum like the Umbraco community is a great way of contributing as well. You don't have to contribute technical stuff.
Exactly. And Jan, what about you? Your favorites?
I find it hard to choose a favorite or more favorites, because I have a lot of favorites. But some of those I'm going to highlight is also from the start back in 2012. One of my former colleagues, Kim Andersen, wrote an article called "Remember the Editors," which is about how to make an editor-friendly experience in the Umbraco back office. And the back office tweaking is what most of us really enjoy about Umbraco. And that's why it's something that we all enjoy to work with, because we can really model it as it suits the editor's needs in specific projects. And along the same lines, the article that was published the day after Kim's is by Douglas Robar, about being an Umbraco superhero. And it's also about the editor experience and why it matters to like think of character length and choosing the different dot types and stuff like that.
But that reminds me also the trainings from Umbraco, which were always surprising for even advanced Umbraco developers and people who were just really that's really important things, and really, they were really eye-opening for things. That's good one.
And I think that even though you can tell that the screen dumps are old from these articles now, that it's
still valid.
Something. The points still hold true today. They're still very valid. And today we have, fortunately, a lot of options to do even better than we could back then.
I was going to say, I would love to see someone revisit maybe these articles from 8 years ago and go, what's changed? What's different? Is something any better? Or actually, was maybe the user experience better back in the V4 days? Do we need to maybe, take a step back, and maybe we've made it too complex right now?
Yeah, so I've also highlighted an article from 2013 by Kevin, where he writes about 6 easy configuration tweaks, which I absolutely love, because this is something that we used to do all over for each project that we did, because you would always need to set the maximum upload size, and it typically gave so many problems, because if you didn't think about it, it's like, there's a limit of like 4 megabytes per default. We don't have this issue today because I think the default has increased in the core. But it's along the lines of the article Chriztian mentioned earlier, with Matt's article. Like, this is like something you could do when you had done parted your train ride and settle on your desk, like, I can fix this today.
This feature particularly was something what I used a lot in the past for replacing Polish characters, for example, in URLs.
I can imagine. We also did it in Danish characters. Really, really useful. And then I've also highlighted the 2 articles from 2017. One of them being Lucy Beresford, writing about how to organize Code Cabin, which also includes one of the recipes. for one of the first dishes.
The famous chili.
When we went, the famous chili. And I really enjoyed it because it's not about code, but it's about planning and organizing, which is also what you do when you write code. So somehow it correlates, and it's about a community, great community.
For me, this is one of the 24 days articles that sticks out. If you ask me to name like 3 off the top of my head, this would be one of the famous ones for me. And as you say, it's fantastic because whilst it's not about code, the lessons in it definitely apply. But more importantly, 24 Days in Umbraco is not just about code, it's about community. And Lucy is a fantastic and key part of the community, has been for a long, long time. Just because she's not a developer doesn't mean that she can't contribute to 24 Days. And the article, like I say, is one of my favorites of all time. So more of that would be amazing. I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the same position as Lucy out there that may be involved with a meetup or maybe
conferences even done this year, or last year mostly even.
Or China with Umbraco, working in and around the context of Umbraco. I'd love to hear their stories as well. So more of that.
That's also what we like to read about too ourselves. I also have one from Carol about Alexa skills. I absolutely love this one because when I think about Umbraco, I always think about Umbraco in the context of websites or web applications. And I just love this, that you can use Umbraco for whatever. It doesn't have to be a website per se. It could also be communicating with Alexa or Googlebot or whatever. I just enjoyed reading this.
The really exciting thing about this one was it was right on the cusp of that kind of Umbraco headless now movement. I know Carol ran a couple of hackathons with Alexa. I know that a lot of people kind of off the back of this gained a bit of interest in doing, we could do some IoT stuff or whatever with Umbraco. We could do a lot more. Of course, people have been doing this for a while, but definitely the Alexa skill thing was, I can do it. I can have a device in my home that I can program through Umbraco. That's so cool, and it definitely inspired a few people to go off and do. I know Purnima done a bunch of digging on Alexa skills, and Google Home as well. That the Perplex team did some great stuff came off.
Yeah, and also the year after writing, or no, not the year after, but the Code Garden after writing this article, she was invited as a speaker and about this subject because they used it for like one of the clients' hotel group or something, I think, and it was a really great talk as well.
But that's also what I wanted to maybe add to that by articles there, we can all learn about some new topics or new ways of playing with Umbraco or maybe around Umbraco as a community. And then we can use it, and we can also recognize some of the nice efforts and things which were done by other people, and either use them or just open our minds to that. And that's also helps from both perspectives. You've mentioned, Carol, who was invited to Code Garden. There were a lot of people who were recognized thanks to those articles. So maybe it's a good way also to share the last page related with 24 days, which is the most important page for this year, which is this form, right? This is the form for all the people who might want to contribute, and you are all inviting everyone to submit the ideas there, right?
Yeah, everyone is invited, and we are sorry that there are 2 email fields. It's not on purpose. It's something we missed, so why we have 2 of those. And sorry for the bad-looking form, but we were in a bit of a hurry, so we want to improve that at another point. But now we just needed to have it out there so people could start applying.
This is great, and I guess the point of everything we're trying to say here is you can contribute almost anything. The scope here is super broad, be it the fantastic, timeless technical resources that people can refer back to. I commonly view the Bobo Browse articles, the Elasticsearch articles from many years back. These things are keywords that come up when someone Googles Umbraco and a topic. So you have the opportunity of effectively writing an amazing resource, but also just bringing some joy to people's Christmases with some nice stories, or maybe getting people to have a little think about different ways that they would do things. So many different ways you can contribute here.
Indeed.
And we didn't mention it's always a nice surprise every day. What kind of article is going to be published today?
Yeah.
And even authors don't know that, right?
No one knows.
Yeah, it's a random machine behind the scenes.
Every December, umbraCoffee becomes so difficult because we have to summarize 7 days worth of amazing articles each week. And again, we try and get the authors on at some point, but sometimes, the day of umbraCoffee, an amazing article will drop. Can we get them to join us?
We are trying to shape things up a bit by setting a hard deadline this year, because in the past years we've been really, really late entries. And to give ourselves a bit of a less stressful December month, we're trying to keep a hard deadline of November 25th this year. So we can also actually prepare a schedule, so we could also let the authors know in advance when they could expect their article to be published, because obviously our authors are very interested in this, so that's only fair to them as well, that they actually know when to be prepared for their Twitter going crazy or whatever, when people give them kudos or reach out to them because of their article.
Absolutely. So the deadline to apply is next Saturday, Sunday? It's next Sunday.
Yeah, application deadline is November 1st. Yeah.
1st November, and the article in by the 25th of November.
Yes. Remember that.
Noted, shared, and we will remind everyone.
Give you a final reminder next week on and Chris, do you have to leave us?
Yeah, I have to leave you.
Thank you for joining us. This was great.
It was very nice seeing you all today.
Thank you, and have a great weekend ahead. And we can jump to topics which are also being released this week. And we've seen a new product update from Rune, and it might be a good starting topic to whatever else is umbraco related this week.
I need to get my speculation hat on.
Oh yes, Callum. Yes, the magic hat from for the speculations. Because we have a Hacktoberfest update, of course, at the beginning, which is impressive. Again, the most impressive part for me was that from 47 PRs submitted, 42 are already merged. That's a huge conversion rate of the PRs from the submitted PRs to being merged, and a lot of contributions to documentation, .NET Core, and all the areas around. Because not all of it is highlighted, but the package ecosystem, all the other packages contributions are also counted down, and upcoming releases. Some people who are on the email list were notified about the delays in some of the releases cycles, but it's going to be released on Monday, 26th. So and it's just a kind of interesting information that some bugs or issues which were spotted on the way are just going to be fixed before being released, and it's not like the date is the date and we are going to release and fix it later on, maybe 2 or 3 days after.
Rune has just mentioned, by the way, if you refresh the article, the numbers are now correct. I was suspecting that these numbers were
too low,
a little low. I didn't want to say anything, but well done. That's a really, really good level of contribution. I think
I thought that maybe it was the number of the pull request marked as Hacktoberfest accepted already, as a kind of
perhaps, but that's a fantastic amount of contribution. As you mentioned, Marcin, the 8.9 being slightly delayed. I think obviously we've had 2 weeks of an RC, and we've also been on a slightly different release cadence than usual. Obviously, 8.8 came out only 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And we're not, as far as we're looking right now. Historically, we'd get 8.8, then 8.8.1, and then 8.8.2 and 3, and then maybe we'd get 8.9. Whereas we're jumping between these minor releases quite rapidly now, which is great. I think it's going to slow down a little bit when we get onto a more stable cycle. They had to get through releases out pretty quickly. There was a lot of stuff queued up. But 8.9 was supposed to be yesterday. A few cloud hiccups, I think, unrelated, which have then meant that it was all hands on deck for that. So I think Monday. But great to see that they're fixing stuff kind of almost right up to the deadline to make sure it's as smooth a release as possible. And I've noticed the quality and the stability is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I upgrade pretty much as soon as the new versions come out, and they're much better than, it's much less scary than it used to be.
Yeah, but that's also because probably of this policy, and that you don't release and fix it after all. But if there is something what we already know that might be fixed, just fix it and then release, and that's okay. It's safer for us to and for all the developers and people who are using it to just upgrade and be sure that it's fixed, rather than upgrade and maybe regret this decision or something like that. But yeah, there's also another elements being worked on, GraphQL filtering for hardcore, and a lot of patch releases for both Umbraco and products such as Umbraco Forms and Courier, which is coming on Tuesday, exactly October 27th.
And that Courier update that applies to V7 and V8, does it, or is it just V7? I'm not up to date with my Courier versions, but too. I assume because there's no Courier for V8, right? That's Umbraco deploy, and that's not out yet. So we've got Courier 1.3.9, which I guess is for the V7 version. So it's good to see that still being updated. We don't hear much about V7 anymore.
Yeah. And this one is also interesting because it's upcoming release of Umbraco Forms, and just proves that again, more of the products and more of the elements around the Umbraco ecosystem are released more often.
I like that it's taken this long to remove the dependency on jQuery.
We all remember, Callum, your contribution from 1st of April related with being jQuery master.
I think about that episode, and I'll comment daily. It cracks me up, jQuery.
And of course, updates to roadmap. We're all awaiting a lot of new things coming in, but some new in now, which are front-end rendering in .NET Core, which is awesome, again, moving forward with the .NET Core project, and then new in next, which is interesting topic, which is reduced footprint of Umbraco CMS in general, and all the performance.
Footprint? Yeah, what do we mean by footprint here? This is the amount of memory and resource that it uses.
Yep, exactly, and generally the performance optimizations and tweaks of getting it more stable, performant, and better in general.
I have noticed V8 does use a lot of memory because there's a lot more stuff put in memory for the cache, isn't there? But
yes,
it's still very fast, like moderately far faster than V7. So this is going to be interesting when these come along. And I believe this has been kind of kickstarted by a community contribution, hasn't it?
Yes, and Jan, what about you? Are you following up with all the releases, testing the new releases of Umbraco, or not yet?
I wish I could, but unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can. Of course,
okay.
Down the core, I will see some of the updates, but that's mostly for trying to fix stuff or add stuff. So I won't be able to test it as thoroughly as if I were implementing stuff. The project I'm on now is Umbraco based, but it's a big project, and Umbraco development is a tiny part of it. So I don't get to get my hands that dirty, unfortunately.
So yeah, that's good to see those updates. And Warren mentioned that secret code name of Project Piper, which is visible in some of the pull requests and commit messages in Umbraco codebase. And Callum, we have 2 pull requests which we wanted to show and highlight.
The community one, I think the one that kickstarted it all back in July, was from Chad. And I was saying to Runo actually earlier this morning, Chad has been doing some amazing contributions to CMS and also Examine, and
yes,
I don't know who he is. It'd be amazing to put a face to the name or something. Someone who I've never really met in the community and is making huge and very, very substantial contributions, big improvements to the core to get performance better. So this was in 8.8, I think. This was a big performance boost.
Yes, exactly, and I've mentioned it as well in the same conversation that it's a new crush for me as a performance-oriented guy. It's seeing something like that and small improvements which are making a big effort here, and this work just extremely well done. It's just amazing. And there is a second pull request, which also is a draft right now, but it's for all the performance improvements, mainly around the front-end caching. And here again, a lot of good knowledge being shared by HQ members, and some comments, contributions being introduced by Chad, and yeah, discussions. We can all learn from it a lot. And I mentioned it with the talk done by Shannon about the examine, that even from the introductions, we can learn so many things about how it works. And exactly, it's the same right here. We can, from the pull request, from the
comments here is
yes.
like a lesson in itself.
Yep.
All of the optimizations. Oh, this would be like a 10th faster or 10th slower. So I'm not going to do that. It's really incredible. Compression, improving the efficiency of SQL queries. There's, allocations, watching allocations, and all that sort of stuff. So incredible.
The Piper code name is not by accident here. It's not by accident here. Exactly. So yeah, we are all waiting for the results of it.
According to the roadmap, that's expected December currently. Yep. So that would mean within the next 2 point releases, if we're on a 6-week cadence now, so either 8.10 or 8.11, depending on when an RC for 8.10 comes. So maybe before the end of the year, we can have these running on production sites. How cool would that be?
Yeah, awesome. Other things which we can already run are released packages this week, and we can quickly run through them because there is a couple of them. First is Umbraco Redirect upgrade from Anders and Skovgaard package, which is probably used by a lot of community members and projects. New upgrade, new fix for something what was requiring fix in the background. Second is an upgrade from Soren.
This one's an alpha.
Yeah, this is an alpha, but
back office searching for full text search, which is really cool. When Soren tweeted a few weeks ago, I'm going to do some UI work on full text search. I was thinking that's a bit odd because it's like a library for doing search on the front end. Yet here there's a dashboard for kind of building up a query and working out what your results will look like, so you can fine tune your results, which is really helpful, really helpful.
And it looks native, right? And so exactly is like a package being built by experienced Umbracian, and it's integrated so well into the back office that it looks like a native feature there. The next one is Inline Svg Picker, which is done for V8, right? If I'm correct.
So Soren built this for V7, and
yes,
and Lynn has updated this for V8, migrated it, and this is her first ever V8 package, or first ever Umbraco package, in fact. So big high five, you rock. She released this over the weekend during the CanCon hackathon. In fact, a really great contribution. And I said to her at the time, I need this on a project right now. So couldn't have come at a better time.
Nice motivation to release new things. I was also motivated to share my work this week as well, because after doing some kind of lighting talks about Umbraco performance, I've also built a performance playground. I don't know why, but I'm starting always this playgrounds projects with some new things which I'm playing around. And this one was shared this week because I was asked to do it. So everyone who was interested in everything what I was mentioning about performance can just find it out here in this repo, which is public on my GitHub profile.
The content from your recent talks would be
yes, a lot of tests, everything, screenshots which I've taken were done from this project. So that's just confirmation of the things which is done, awesome. And yeah, it can be found here.
We've also seen because it says that it's mostly a JavaScript project. So are you doing all of your performance testing in JavaScript?
Yes, it's K6 tests are JavaScript tests, and all the rest is the magic of GitHub Actions, to be honest. So and also the results are HTML and JavaScript. So yeah, it's mostly JavaScript. It might look sad for a C# developer, but we all need to get used to using YAML, JavaScript, and all the JSON configuration files than the C# code, because that's being more and more important right now in our work. the next project which is an intranet done by Umbraco, and we've been mentioning it in the past. Still, I haven't had a chance to play with that. What about you guys? Did you see it in action?
No, I've not.
No?
But this is the first version for V8, isn't it? But like stable. Nah.
Yeah, the stable one is, and it has a lot of features. It looks really impressive, and I know from other fronts that intranets are getting more and more popular. So maybe it's a good project to check out if you are looking for intranet or building it for one of your clients. New release, stable for V8, really nice one. And Sotiris also teased us with something else for V8, which is his starter kit called Mazel. And it's coming closer and closer to being released. So yeah, fingers crossed to have it released soon, as it's another starter kit which was done pretty well, and it was used by many people developing the Umbraco solutions there. Yeah. And that's all from the releases section. Callum, there's a massive yeah, there is a massive event section as well.
Let's do this very quickly. But I think the big thing is .NET Conf, which is a free and online .NET focused conference, has two amazing Umbracians speaking about Blazor. So not about Umbraco, but about Blazor. Carol and Paulima are both talking about Blazor on day 3, I think, of the conference, which is coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, that's going to be really, really awesome. It's a big conference with some big names on it. Scott Hanselman and similar as well. So yeah,
I haven't seen this schedule, but this is released recently, and it looks really nice now.
Yeah.
Second one is Umbraco US Festival, which at the beginning when it was announced, we were talking, is it going to be online, offline? How the organizers are approaching that? And now
still doesn't say, but it's going to be a virtual event.
Yes. So it's going to be virtual event, and there is a call for speakers process also happening now, and it's easier to make the decision to speak on a virtual event if it's even if it's in US. So everyone can submit their talks, and I think that thanks to that, again, same as with the Dutch festival, we will see a great set of talks still delivered from various community members, and maybe not only by community members. And yeah, that's a great to see another event on the roadmap. And set of meetups, Callum, right?
You announced Meetup this morning, didn't you?
We are having a virtual Aarhus meetup in November. Yeah.
Cool. And you've got a few different
Rasmus.
talks. So Rasmus, I guess, will be showing some of the new GraphQL hardcore things they've been working on. Bjarke, Cypress, a lot of hot topics there.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. And Callum, you in London also are going to organize a November open space online?
So open space discussions to be determined topics, but yeah, that's on the 12th. I've got a month full of meetups, in fact. So on the 5th, I'm going to be speaking at this Leeds meetup. I'm going to do a demo of Sidecar and some of the latest innovations on that, running Umbraco in a serverless way. Then there's the London meetup the week after, the Edinburgh meetup the week after that, which is going to be about vendor, but I'm going to show you some vendor stuff I've worked on, as is Paulima. And then the week after that, I think, the Norway one, which I will also be joining. I think Lars is still trying to get some interest in this one. So if you're going to be joining that, please sign up. It'd be great to see some actually see some Norwegians joining it rather than English people.
Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, we will of course share the links to all the meetups there. And there is also this Umbra Simru. Cymru.
We'll get them on.
I need to learn. Yes.
And I'm going to talk again about search and some of the stuff I've been doing recently to make it nicer and easier to work with in Umbraco.
So yeah, the whole November is packed with meetups, and yeah, it's just a lot of knowledge. And there is also recording. We've been talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago, that there's a pretty nice talk being done by Matt Brailsford about Cypress as well. And the recording landed on YouTube on Umbraco community channel, which is a new host for all the community talks related publications. So yeah, that's great. If anyone is interested in learning Cypress and how to do it with Umbraco and around Umbraco, that's a great talk.
Will you be recording I guess the Danish meetup's going to be in Danish?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So if you are not a Danish speaker and want to learn about Cypress, then you've got this talk you can watch, or you can go along to Jan's meetup and watch Bjarke talk about it as well.
If you want to learn Danish,
yeah.
Or learn Danish.
Slides are usual self-explanatory. So same with the repositories and code. So maybe it's possible. Yeah, and you've mentioned Rasmus, who will be talking about GraphQL improvements for hardcore. But Rasmus also shared a message this week about his community GraphQL package, and which is no longer maintained that actively. And he said that he's looking for maintainers. So everyone who might be interested in GraphQL, in Umbraco, and maybe elevate this work or just maybe push this work somewhere further from the community perspective, just contribute, just rise your interests and speak with Rasmus here on this thread to maybe do something special with that as well.
Cool.
And last but not least, your pull request of the week.
Oh, where's our banner?
Pull request of the week.
Yeah. Oh, it's just
yeah.
Yeah. This one goes to Anthony Dang, and this was tweeted this morning. This has been merged. This was from the Candid Contributions Hackathon last week. Dang found a to-do comment in the source that, we should refactor this at some point, and he's refactored it with full BDD tests, really nice looking BDD tests, and the logic way clearer now and actually makes a load of sense. So this is a fantastic contribution. Well done, Dang. He can be, good sometimes. He's not all appropriate and
no, we know that Anthony is really interested in tests, and it's great to see that those tests are now more and more common in this code base as well. And
I think this is to the .NET Core project. Can you just check?
Yes, it's to the .NET Core project, exactly. So it's for .NET Core .NET project, and it was reviewed by HQ members, Bjarke, and yeah, we have a lot of great feedbacks here. And I observed it recently more and more common that HQ is really active in those reviews, and Bjarke was sharing a lot of great feedback on some pull requests, and again, I don't have enough time to go through them all, but sometimes when I see this pull request, I'm just amazed by the knowledge being shared there, and I just don't know how, but it would be great to see it somewhere else, just catch up of what HQ or community members have learned through the pull request, because it's just proving that it's a great process of just making our work better in general.
Well, what a great way to finish up this episode by saying, if you've got an experience maybe that you've had working on a pull request, a first pull request even, write for 24 days and share it there. It's a great opportunity to do so. You don't need to be scared about having to write, 3,000 words. Like, it can be a few hundred words, short explanation, some screenshots, pictures. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, final call to action, contribute, share your ideas, and write great articles to surprise us on every day in December. And yeah, thank you, Jan and Chriztian for joining us today and sharing your experiences from this amazing series.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, we will of course share it again on the next Friday, because we'll, as usual, see you all there. So subscribe, and see you all next week. Have a lovely weekend ahead.